Okay, so it's 2 o'clock already. Oh my goodness. And I'm just getting the tech all finished up here. Because today we're actually streaming live on YouTube. And so let's see, I want to choose to not have the sounds make all when people come in. Let's see. Bum, 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 bum. I thought, oh, here it is. Play, join, and leave sound. No. Mute upon entry. Yes. Enable waiting room. Yes. Actually, yeah. No, yeah. I'll keep the waiting room. Okay, so everyone who is watching live at the moment, I am doing this thing by myself, this live, Thriving Live, and I just want to make sure it's all working. So that is what I am doing right now. And what I wanted to check is to see it on a different browser. That's what I was going to do. Yes. And I'm still waiting for people to arrive. So this is good because it gives me a couple of extra minutes to get the tech all worked out. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So let's see. I'm on the YouTube and I am seeing my channel. And how do I see lives? Let's see. Subscribe, home. I don't know. So can anyone see me live? Let's see, top chat. Just put a message in. We're streaming live today for the very first time. Come on in. And have some fun. So that's over there. And I guess if I press play, maybe it'll show me, yes, it will. It'll show me a delayed version of myself, which is a little bit weird, but that's the way it is. I know I've watched a couple of my coaches go through this whole process of getting the tech all figured out. Okay. And so it's 2 o'clock already. Oops, oh my goodness. There, yeah, it's on a delay. Okay, so if anyone does pop into the YouTube live, you can put something in the chat there, which is pretty exciting. And I will, I think, see it. So we have someone coming in now, Dan Ruderman, and possibly even Sophia. And hello, there we are. We have another person live on Thriving Live today. I'm super excited. Hi, Dan Ruderman. You are muted, of course, and I'm still working out the little tech stuff on the YouTube end of things. And I can see everything. Let's see, I'm going to go to gallery view. And yeah, okay, cool. I'm looking all around. There we go. So we're going to get started soon. If you don't have it already, I recommend some water. or a journal or a pen to write with, or really preferably all of the above, because it's really nice to make sure that you're well resourced and you have everything you desire and need to feel good and comfy and safe. And yeah, so here we go. Okay, so for anyone who does end up watching this video on YouTube later, oh, good. Somebody went and got their water. Right on, Dan. Yeah, so I don't know if I can edit out easily myself those first few minutes of getting things rolling on the YouTube live. If I can, I will, but I have a lot of things going on. And so I won't promise that I will, because sometimes I just got to go at my own pace and not do all the things. So, okay, so here we are at Thriving Live, and it's Tuesdays at 2. It happens Tuesdays at 2. I did just put a notice up in the registration link for anyone that goes to the bit.ly link that we will not be live on the next 2 Tuesdays, the 12th and 20th or something like that, or the whatever, the 15th and 20th, it doesn't matter. It's in the link, the registration link, so you will know. Yeah, it won't be on the 15th or the 22nd. Actually, I had those dates completely wrong, because my partner and I, and one of my most amazing assistants, we are all traveling to Antarctica. Yes, Antarctica. Whatever that means, I love it. We're traveling to Antarctica. Penguins. And we leave. Penguins? Penguins. It's all for the penguins, and not just the penguins, it's for the whole of Mother Earth. We are going on this amazing adventure with incredible people, change makers and healers and creative people and impacted investors, and just a whole lot of people to connect with Mother Earth and to see this part of the world, and to hopefully make some amazing collaborations and connections where we can actually do something that could make a difference. Even the smallest bit of difference is a difference, right? So that's my intention, is to see what we can create together on this trip. And that's kind of my philosophy for pretty much everything I do. So including the show. So what happens here on the show is I get to be here with you all, or anyone that shows up. I'm seeing my YouTube live over here, which is quite delayed, and there's, you know, some silly stuff that I'm doing. So anyway, it happens. I do silly things. So welcome to Thriving Live. I know I keep starting and restarting. We're starting. Welcome to Thriving Live. It's Tuesdays at 2. And today is March 8th. And last Tuesday, we had this wonderful experience of having another coach friend of mine pop in, who ended up benefiting from a little bit of coaching on some huge emotions that were coming up. And it really helped them settle back into their nervous system and their focus, and coming back to what really was important for them. So that's the kind of thing that happens here in this space. I am like, how many times do I introduce myself? I am Gabrielle Senza. I'm an artist, an activist, a mom, a community leader, a community architect. I love building connections and creating things with other people. I chose to do this live event on a weekly basis, partly as a challenge for myself, and honestly, partly as a way to overcome my fear of being live online and doing live videos and speaking into a camera and all that kind of thing. So I'm still a little nervous, and it is just the way it is. I think it might change. Anyway, I feel a whole lot better and more excited about being here on this episode, which is our third episode. And I hope you will get something out of it. So here's the way the space works and this session works. Generally, I will go through the process of bringing you through a pleasure first practice, because that is one of the key elements that is a part of what helps me in my life, pretty much in every arena. And I'll explain more about that in a few moments. We'll do a topic of the day. We'll do a tool of the day. I'll share a tool of the day, and we'll do a question and answer. And then we'll wrap up with hearing about your wins, insights, and learnings from the session. And then if you want to hang out with me a little bit longer after the show, we can talk about how you could continue working with me if you decided you wanted to. So that is the format for today. I want to make sure that you also understand that I try to create very safe or safer spaces where people feel very comfortable in sharing who they are and what's going on for them. And although this is being live streamed, the important thing to remember here is that each person has their own experience. They come from different life experiences and different cultures sometimes, and different preferences of sexual orientation or political views or all the things. And we are, in my view, all just deeply human beings, and we all have this beautiful heart inside us, and we have blood, and we have guts and all the things. And so that's where I want to make sure that our focus stays, and that we're holding that space and that reality with care. So that's what I ask of everyone. And you can see that means a lot to me. And the reason I mention it is because if you were to write something into the chat in response to someone else, I would love it to be written from a place of curiosity, respect, and love. And same thing with the YouTube. If you are, oh, we have another, yay, hello. If you happen to be writing in to the chat on YouTube, same rules. Do so with love, curiosity, and respect for each other, for yourselves, for all of us here. Okay, so that's my container setting for the moment. And now it's time for pleasure first. And pleasure first serves many functions. Mainly, it is to help ground us into this moment and this space and this time. And why is that important? It's important because it helps us sort of like let go of all the things that were happening earlier today, that were happening before we came onto this call. And so for me, for example, I was like trying to make plans for Antarctica and communicating with people and changing my notifications for people who might try to see Tuesday show next Tuesday and the Tuesday after, where we won't be here live. And so just trying to do all these things, and then the clock is still ticking, and we come up to 2 o'clock, and here we are. So I do have some things to let go of from the earlier part of my day. Do you? Does anyone else? Okay, good. So I'm going to take you to a really unusual place, and maybe to have a very unusual experience. Are you ready for that? Guaranteed to be pleasurable. Absolutely, 100%. Okay, so here we go. I'd like you to be present in your chair and feel yourself where you're at, noticing that you're in the room in front of a computer with your things around you and this voice coming from the screen towards you. And just with your breaths, just allow your body to get heavy. You don't have to make a big breath, but if you feel like you'd love to take a nice deep breath, You can do that. And you can also, with your breaths and your exhales, you can sigh. And with these breaths, just allow yourself to let go of release with the weight of your body, with the weight of your sitting in the chair, all that came before this moment today. And now, being here in this stillness, imagine yourself as a little tiny baby in diapers, that age, outside on a beautiful summery day, early summer, late spring, and you're feeling the warmth of the sun. You're feeling and seeing the light dappling across the grass in front of you. And at this moment, you're sitting on your bottom in your little diaper, enjoying the beauty and wonder of what is before you, because it's totally unfamiliar. It's totally new, and there's so much to explore. And you notice, maybe to steady yourself, you put your right hand down on the grass, and you feel sort of all those different little sensations on your hand of the grass as you push your hand against the ground. You're just trying to steady yourself, but you're a baby, and you see and feel that this is something you've never felt before. You've never felt that sort of funny, crinkly texture under the palm of your hand. And there's something funny about it, because on the top of your hand, you can feel the sun warming it. And underneath the crinkly, funny, tingly feeling on the palm of your hand, there's the cool earth. So you're feeling the warmth from above and the coolness from below. And being an infant and filled with curiosity, you kind of roll off your little bottom and put both hands on the ground. And your knees are on the ground. So you're like a little dog or a crawling baby. And now you feel that same crinkly little tingly sensation in your left palm. And on your knees. And when you lift your knee to start crawling or moving about, your hand and your knee, you notice this ticklish little feeling on your bare little knee. And then you put it down again, and you feel those sensations, and you might notice that the earth is really cool under that knee. And maybe your hand just landed in a warm patch of grass. All of these experiences are happening at the same time. And you get to wander about a little bit, pressing into the grass and feeling it with your hands and with your knees. And after you've been on your hands and knees for a while, you might push yourself back up onto your bottom. So you're just sitting there like this little infant in the grass on the knees, the grass under your thighs and your feet and your ankles. And you lift up your hands, and even though they're not touching the grass, they're still tingling with that strange grass sensation, a sort of ticklish little tingle that happens. Just give me a nod if you can feel that, if you're feeling that in your experience here. Excellent. So good. So now this baby gets to sit there for a little bit and just feel the sun on its whole body, feeling the warmth of the sun coming down through. It's the perfect weather, so there's no need for anyone to be concerned about this baby being in the sun, because this is a perfect moment, perfect visualization. This baby feels the light on its head, on its shoulders. You get to feel it on your chest and your arms. And babies like to taste things and put things in their mouth. So you put your fingers in your mouth and you might notice that there's the taste of earth and maybe a little piece of grass, and it all smells so new and amazing. And you can just enjoy this exploration, this baby sort of settling in, exploration of this moment, this wondrous moment of light and shadow playing on the grass, the cool earth from below, and the sun from above. Noticing all these opposites that are occurring at the same time, and we get to experience them at the same time. And whenever you're feeling ready to return to this space, you can open your eyes and come back. And if you are willing to share, I'd love to hear what you noticed and what your experience was. How are you feeling now compared to how you felt when you came onto the call, when you first arrived? You can either write it into the chat or you can say it out loud. How did you feel being an infant baby in the sun? With the tingly grass under your hands and knees. You feel much more peaceful. Relaxing in the sun was so nice. That's so great. That's so nice. And isn't it interesting how we can just create that for ourselves? We get to create an experience in the moment wherever we are. Obviously, if there's a lot of distractions, it's harder, but understanding like, oh, we can bring in this pleasant experience. And what's good about doing that pleasant experience is, you tell me. Dan said he feels a lot more peaceful, more relaxed. I know I do. I feel so much more peaceful, even being that exploring little baby. So I'm happy to hear your voice in real time if you'd like. It'd be fun to hear. Sophia says, very peaceful, very, very peaceful. And so, good, you're unmiked.
Made me feel very like peacefully relaxed and kind of distant in a way. Like it took me on a journey, so it was a little bit harder to come back here, but very pleasant to be back here. Like, oh, that's good. That's nice. It's the tiniest bit of longing for those early summer warm days and to just get outside in the cool grass. I have a tiny bit of longing for that, but just the memory of it makes me feel good and more relaxed.
Sort of the perfect time to be doing it, since we're sitting here in the light from the dining room table windows.
Yeah.
So it's easier to imagine that it's early summer light that's outside.
Yeah. Yes, it's true. That
right, you have some real sun there.
Yeah, just beyond the screen, we've got bright sunlight and squirrels and wind, but I know that it's 30 degrees and biting cold. So it was really nice to be inside and feel warm and feel that baby's warmth and the curiosity at the sensations that on my hand and on my knees and in my mouth.
Yeah, that was a new journey, a new visualization that I did with a client recently. It just popped into my head and it was so pleasant. There's this whole sensation of like the baby skin on the ground and the tingly sensation in the hands and stuff like that. And it was just like, what an experience to be able to like drop into being an infant with that curious mind who has nothing to fear in that moment. Like they're just completely in the world discovering things, you know? We so rarely get to be in that moment as adults, certainly on the day-to-day basis, right? So it's pretty fun. So the topic of the day has to do with some opposites. So the idea that we were feeling two opposites, many different opposites, the light, the dark, the cold, the warm, the tingly, the no, not tingly. And there are probably others which I can't think of right now. So I'm wondering if anyone here on the call has something like that feels like a really big thing that you're sort of in the midst of, and you really would rather feel the opposite.
I'm still unmuted, so I'll say I am in the midst of having a list that's too long to make, and I don't even have time to make the list. So I'm in the midst of feeling I have a crap ton to do. And what I'd really like to feel is like it's all done and it's all handled and everything is great and I'm out of here.
Great. So what's the problem with the feeling that about that list? What's the emotional feeling around that list?
If I let it, or worse, if I don't let it, if I pretend I don't feel it, it creates an anxiety that makes it really hard for me to do the things on the list well or efficiently.
Got it. Yeah. And you'd rather feel that it's all done.
Well done. Everything's handled. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to stress about. Everything is done and good.
Great. All right. And anyone else have any big things going on that you want to talk about?
I just asked Sophia how I can turn off notifications on my computer. So.
I get that. So I'll let you do that. How about you, Sophia? Do you have anything going on that you're feeling particularly like overwhelmed by?
At the moment, not actually really. I think just that there's a lot that I need to get done in the next couple of days, but it all feels very manageable, so it doesn't feel overwhelming yet. I have a feeling it might feel overwhelming as the time for departure comes closer, but for right now, it feels manageable.
Great. Well, lucky for you, I'm happy to hear that you're in a good state with that. I can also relate to Dan and his feeling of overwhelm and the list that's too long to even make the list because there's not even enough time to start that list. I have started making lots of lists, so I still don't feel everything is on there that should be. So Dan, would you like to play a game on handling sort of that feeling of anxiety and overwhelm?
Yes. Is it a relatively short game? Because I only have about 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes? Let's make it short because you have experience with this, okay? And so anyone that's going to watch this later, you will see a speed version of what we're calling a universal process, which takes two polarities. And we're going to work with these two polarities of, Dan and I will determine it. It'll be overwhelming, loads of things to do versus it's all done and it's all handled. So we're both facing long lists of things that need to get done and a lot of overwhelm and anxiety. And sometimes it shows up in different ways. For me, I tend to like do all kinds of things that are so not related to the lists. And then I waste a lot of time in that space instead of taking care of the things on the list. So this would be a good practice for me too. Okay, so and Dan's got to jump in 10 minutes, so or less. Okay, so here's how we'll go. Dan, let's narrow down the two opposites, okay? Should be overwhelm and ease or done or something else.
List anxiety. That's list and anxiety combined. List anxiety and TaDa.
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Ta-da! It's done. Okay. I'm going to say, for the sake of listeners, I'll say, if it's okay with you, Dan, list anxiety versus ta-da, it's done.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So we're going to work with these two opposites. And Sophia, if you're feeling any of this, feel free to just follow along and do it as well and see how you feel. Dan and I both have very long lists of things related to a number of things. Sometimes it's just an anxiety about one particular thing and watching and you're thinking about this later. You can just choose one particular thing. All right, here we go. Let's both feel into list anxiety. Feel into all the things that come up when you think about your list anxiety, what you're feeling in your body or what you're thinking in your head or how it's interfering with your life. And then just turn it up really strong. Allow yourself to feel the feelings fully and completely. And then just say something into the space about it.
Ugh.
Ugh. Ugh. Okay, I'll let that go. Now, short breath. Now let's feel into ta-da, it's done. That's so much easier to access for me, apparently. Ta-da, it's done. Let's feel into that. Feel it fully, feel it completely. Even turn the volume and intensity up on it so it's really real. And then say something about it into the space.
Ta-da!
Whew. Okay, great. Now, let that go. We'll move back over to list anxiety. Feel into all the anxiety around the list or the unmade lists. Notice what you notice and amplify it. Say something into the space about it.
It's bearing my down on my shoulders. Like I feel my shoulders and chest collapsing forward.
I was feeling a shortness of breath, like not being able to take full breaths. Okay, let that go. Now we go back into feeling, ta-da, it's done. Feel into it fully. Allow yourself to really savor it and turn the volume up on it, like intensify it, and then say something about it.
Wow.
I'm like, woo, woo. Okay. Okay, third time through. Let's let that go. Come back into the list anxiety. Allow yourself to feel it fully, feel it completely, really intensify it. Notice all that you notice and just say something about it. List anxiety.
I'm afraid.
Thank you. It'll never get done. Okay, and now I'll let that go. Allow yourself to feel, ta-da, it's done. Allow yourself to go into, ta-da, it's done. Feel it fully, completely, 100%, and even intensify it. And then say something about it.
Yeah, I got this.
Awesome. I'm feeling like tingly sensations all up in here, like of excitement. Okay, that's 3. So now together at the same time, we're going to think about and feel. We're going to feel list anxiety, and we're going to feel ta-da, it's done at the same time. And then on the exhale, notice what happens between them. So on the inhale, we're thinking about and experiencing fully list anxiety and ta-da. Notice what happens between them on the exhale. Notice if they're merging or if they're separate. You might feel it, you might see it as an image, you might hear it as words. What showed up for you, Dan?
It's a little bit confusing, like feeling the two things at once. And it was like I felt like weight on my eyebrows and like opening in my chest. So it was like a weird combination.
And was that in the exhale? So it feels like it's a body, you're feeling it in your body. Like on the exhale, what did you notice about the two sensations or the two feelings?
That's what I noticed. I don't know what you're
Oh,
asking.
okay, so they're two separate things. Or would you define them as two separate things? Because you talked about something in the brow, like a heaviness in the brow.
It's like feeling them both at the same time. Like I felt like I could breathe more, but I also felt like a weight on me. So it was like feeling
Okay.
those things at the same time.
Cool. So you're feeling them both at the same time. And they're, in terms of like the idea of merging, they're occupying a similar space, but they're not.
It was like not lava lamps, but like those hurricane, like those bottles that have like a liquid in them with some sparkle stuff, and you move it around and they kind of merged. They're coexisting.
Right. Yeah, coexisting.
Still separate. Or like when you first put milk into coffee in a clear cup. It's like that. It's not white coffee yet. It's not black coffee anymore.
Right. Great. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to do another quick round. We'll do it even faster. We'll try to access those states faster. Okay, so feel into list anxiety. Feel whatever you've got there and intensify it and say something about it.
It's like a muttering, like I'm like muttering all the things I have to do, and but I can't really understand it.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I just had like a whole tenseness in my body, the whole body. So let that go. And now go into feeling, ta-da, it's done. Allow yourself to feel that fully. Intensify it and say something about it.
I'm like strutting my stuff.
Nice, thank you. I feel like an expansion, like I'm the opposite of the tense. Great. Okay, another time, allow yourself to feel fully list anxiety. Feel it fully and completely. Allow yourself to really get into it. Notice whatever's left there for you. Intensify it and say something about it.
This just sucks.
Thank you. I was just holding my breath, I guess. We'll let that go. Now allow yourself to feel into ta-da, it's done. Again, allow yourself to feel it completely, fully, strongly. Intensify it and say something about
it. It's funny, but it's like that cartoon character. I can't remember the name of the rooster on one of the cartoons, but he'd just be like, his chest was puffed up, but like moving freely and trucking down the rooster McBurn, whatever. It's just like I feel uplifted and moving, like I can move.
Yeah, beautiful. That's so nice. I think I know who you mean, but I'm not going to think of the name. And I felt like a whew, kind of feel to that, like a lot of movement, like openness. All right, let's go into seeing them both together at the same time, feeling. I say seeing because I'm a visual person, but what I really mean is allow yourself to feel list anxiety and feel TaDa, it's done simultaneously at the same time. Try to make them as real and as strong as you can. Take a big deep breath in. And on the exhale, notice what happens between the list anxiety, TaDa, it's done. It might be a felt sensation. It might be something you visualize. Sometimes I see shapes coming together. Say something about it. Are they merging for you? Or you see them as separate?
Even though I didn't think of them as different sides of my body before, like I felt the main thing in my body before was like down versus up, I guess, right?
Mm.
I was merging them just now. It felt like the two sides of my body were like a merging pattern, like you see in woodwork sometimes, like a not tongue and groove, but kind of like tongue and groove, kind of like the two were merging down my center line.
Wow. So they feel like they're inhabiting the same space. They're really tied together now. Not tied together, but yeah, they've grown together.
Like the milk and black coffee, this one's more like a weaving together. A little more solid than that liquid reference, and like the sides of my body were like, yeah.
And because you're short on time, I'm going to kind of jump to the questions of like, does it feel fully merged or like partially merged at this point? And we can let it just be partially.
It's partially, if we did it maybe one of each and then merge them, I could probably.
You have time for that?
Yeah, if we do just one of each and then merge them.
Perfect. Okay, good. I didn't want to take you through that if you didn't have time.
Well,
okay, great. Let's do it.
For 2 or 3 minutes if I get these things merged, because then I'll go back to my list and be like, oh, list, I got you.
Perfect. Okay, so allow yourself. Thank you, Dan, for playing along. This is great. Allow yourself to go feel into that list anxiety again. Feel whatever is still there for you to feel. Feel it fully. Actually, even intensify it. And then say something about it.
Oh God, I'm never going to get it all done.
Thank you. Great, let that go. And now allow yourself to feel fully, TaDa, it's done. Feel into TaDa, it's done. 100% fully feeling whatever is there, intensifying it and saying something about it.
Oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
Fabulous. Let that go. Now together, once again, feel into your list anxiety and TaDa, it's done at the same time. Feel them really as strongly as you can. Take a big deep breath in and notice what happens between them as you exhale. Judging by your face, it looks like things are feeling good.
I have a mischievous unconscious mind, and it had Doris Day singing, Que Será, Será, will be.
Fabulous. And what does that represent for you? What emotion does that represent?
Like, oh, let it go. It's either too much, or it was easy, or it doesn't matter. Just, it's all good.
So beautiful. Great. So now with another breath, allow yourself to see this beautiful, intense ball of energy above your head. Allow it to enter in very slowly through the top of your head and fill all the molecules all the cells of your body, warming them like that sun energy that the baby was feeling earlier. Just allow that warmth of that light to come through your whole body, filling up the places where all the feelings of discomfort related to anxiety lived, as well as the spaces that TaDa It's Done lives. Energizing through your whole body, your arms, your legs, your hands, your feet, and down into the earth. And when you feel ready, come back and tell me what you're more aware of now than you were before.
What was the question?
What are you more aware of now than you were before with this exercise?
Well, every day I tell myself that I'm a being of light, but I don't always feel it. And now, having just done that, I felt myself filled with light. I could feel that even in the midst of list anxiety. I could feel that even while I'm trying to go into the patient portal to ask for a scopamine patch to be prescribed to me, and getting ready for my 3 o'clock call, and also reading my email.
So all that is possible for you now from having done this.
And still be a being of light. So it's like it'll either one of those things will work, all of them will work, none of them will work, whatever. I'll be there at the 3 o'clock call.
That's so awesome. That's so super awesome. So thank you so much for playing along with me today. What's one thing that's going to, ground this experience for you today? I know you have lots of things to do, but what's one thing you'll do?
I will go upstairs with 2 devices, and I'll start the 3 o'clock meeting early, so I won't be late for it. And then I won't have to stress about starting it on time. And I'll try and log into my patient portal at the same time.
Brilliant.
Now, and I'm gonna refill my glass of water on my way upstairs.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for playing along, and just send me a text when you've got that done.
I will.
Let me know how it goes. In other words, let me know how it goes.
You're invited to that 3 o'clock call. So if you're on it, I'll tell you what happened.
Perfect. Yes, that's right. Okay. Thanks. Are you going to shut down for Sophia or?
I'm open for Sophia.
Okay.
If you want to continue for a little bit, and if you want to leave, you just leave. And bye, everybody.
Bye, Dan. Thanks for coming in. Bye. So fun. Okay, so that was basically one of the practices that I use on a regular basis, and it helps so many different people and different experiences. I was doing it myself today earlier. I used it on, this idea of working to earn money versus receiving passive income. And because I was feeling there was like a block, like feeling like, to do the work is just so much work, it's like too much. And when I came to, after doing this whole process, also fairly quickly, was like, actually all the things I did and put in place in order to receive passive income was work. Like I did have to do things to get that to come back to me later. And then I was also noticing that in between the two things, there's something kind of unpleasant sometimes that would show up, and sometimes pleasant, and the ones that sort of in the opposite realms, right? So like there was something that came up in the passively receiving money piece that was like, that's kind of surprising. Yeah, it isn't always a good thing. It isn't always, just easy peasy, right? And then there's this other part that was like, and that work sometimes feels like an adventure, like a challenge. And I love challenges, so it's like, what if I just, and it was totally integral to receiving in the first place. So it totally changed my relationship to the polar opposites, and I saw them as a whole, like a whole circle, like they just work together. And that is an attitude and a mindset change for me to think about, what if the work that I do, I see as fun and a fun challenge, like it's just part of my fun challenge that I get to do. And that can change my whole relationship to it. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's a very handy little tool to use. So do you have any questions about it, or anything that you want to share from what you did today or have observed?
I don't have any questions. Well, I don't know. It's very interesting to think about passive income. And there's so much, especially now, talk about like everyone needing to have a side hustle or other ways to be making income, but they're all described as passive income, but that feels like not an accurate label for it, because it's not passive if it's something that you're still working towards, because passive and active are different definitions. So it's interesting people label their kind of side gigs as passive income when it's not necessarily at the stage where it is something where you've done all the work and now it is just passive income.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is funny the way they're used. And also that I just realized like what a great polarity too is, like passive versus active. Right. So when we actively go towards something, or we passively wait for something, and yeah, that can open up a much bigger conversation, because I'm thinking about all the times where like I never once passively sat around and waited for a gallery to show up and decide they're going to show my work. No, I had to actively make the work, document the work, contact the galleries, bring it in, go through all the anxiety of being rejected, celebrating when I wasn't rejected, all the things, and so if yes, this is a great thing. Like anytime we want something in our lives, we can't just passively wait for it to show up.
Right.
There's some action that needs to take place, even if it's just dropping some money into an investment account and it's just sitting there and it's earning interest, and that's the passive income. Because clearly we don't have to do really anything else on that money. It's just sitting there doing its thing. But almost all the other things, so it's an interesting discussion and could definitely be explored more. And I think you're totally accurate. Like it's not really an accurate description to say it's passive. There's some steps involved to get to the passive, the ability to receive passive income. So if you create, for example, an e-course and you put it up, you've got all the work done, which is a lot of work, as you know, right? It's a lot of work. Once it's done, it's hanging out there waiting for people to buy it.
Right.
How are the people going to get there?
Right.
There's still some work to be done, right? So yeah, it's a great conversation. So thanks for bringing that up. Let's see, let me hear. Let me hear about any wins, insights, or learnings that you got from today's example. I'm going to cut this call a little bit short because I do want to get on that other call, and I don't want this to go on too long, unless you have something you want to bring in and work through. I do have actually only a few minutes.
So do I. I need to eat some lunch before I go to my physical therapy appointment.
Okay.
But I think for me, it was, it brought a deeper sense of body awareness that I think I was kind of lacking. Because I think even if my task list feels manageable, it's still a like, oh, I have to get through this today. And that can often take me out of my body, and then I don't notice until much later in the day that, oh, my body's actually feeling really sore because I've been sitting in the exact same position all day. And when I can awareness to it, and to that state of feeling the overwhelm versus TaDa, that it's done, is more motivating to access the TaDa, it's done.
Right. That'll be fun to play with, even without doing the merging exercise like we just did. It's like, what if we approach the list so that we can get to that, like, ta-da, it's done, or we get to do the ta-da, it's done celebration with each task that we get done. That would make it like way more fun.
Absolutely.
Well, on that note, that's how I'm going to get through my list today and celebrate us for being here and for coming to that like conclusion, because that's like a really fun way of looking at it. And thank you for being here with me and for participating. And thank you everyone who's coming on and watching later. We will not be here for the next 2 weeks, but we will be back on, I think it's the 29th. So join us live on March 29th. And you can reach me by going to, so there's so many ways. So suddenly I'm like, whoa, which way should it be? Just come to, usually I drop in no, I can't drop it into this. I'll drop it into the link notes later in the YouTube program. Just get on a call with me. That's the best fun thing. And that is easy. It's just calendly.com/make-change, because that's what we're all about here. Okay, thank you so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. And I'll see you next time on Thriving Live.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.